Genesis 23. And the life of Sarah was 170, no, and the life of Sarah was 107 and 20 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah, and Sarah died in Kirabab, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and spake unto the children of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my lord, thou art a prince of God among us. In the choice of our sepulchre, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham rose up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth, and he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I shall bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Sorah, that he may give me the cave of Methaphel, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For the full price let him give it to me, in the midst of you, for a possession of a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting in the midst of the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gates of his city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that therein I give it thee. In the presence of the children of my people give it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt, I pray thee, hear me. I will give the price of the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My lord, hearken unto me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that? Betwixt me and thee. Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the audience of the children of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money, with the merchant. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was there before Marin, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders of thereof round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth. Before all that went in at the gate of his city, and after his Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the fields of Machpelah before Marim, the same person as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And the field and the caves that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the children of Heth. Genesis 23 looks simple, a death and a real estate purchase, but is one of the most theological, strategic chapters in the Abraham narrative. It teaches how covenant faith behaves in grief, how promise becomes material in history, and how Abraham refuses to let the promised land be held only as a sentiment. He secures a legal foothold, starting with the grave. Sarah's death, covenant people still suffer real loss. Genesis 23, verse 1 through 2. The chapter begins with full realism. Sarah's full lifespan is recorded with honor. Abraham mourns and weeps. Genesis does not romanticize faith as the absence of grief. It shows a holy tensions. God's promise is true, and death is still an enemy inside the story. What God is saying, faith does not cancel tears. Covenant hope is not denial. It's grief with a future. I am a stranger, a sojourner. Abraham's identity in the promised land. Genesis 23, verse 3 to 4. Abraham is a Canaanite, the land promised to him, yet he says, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. That covenant paradox. He lives in the land of promise, but he does not yet possess it. The promise is certain, but for the fulfillment is still unfolding across generations. This is what biblical faith often is, living as if God's future is sure while your present is still partial. What God is saying, you can inhabit my promise before you fully hold it. My people, you can inhabit my promise before you fully hold it. My people are pilgrims who live from the future I've spoken. Prince of God among us. Witness through character. Genesis 23, verse 5 through 6. The hitter's response, Thou art a prince of God among us. Abraham's life has become publicly sized. Publicity. Public. Publicly recognizable. He isn't merely wealthy, he perceives as carrying divine favor and dignity. This is fulfillment of the promise that Abraham would be a blessing and a recognizable figure among the nations without domination. What God is saying, my blessing is meant to be seen as integrity and honor, not swagger and exploitation. The negotiation, Abraham refused a gift because he wants a covenant safe public legal possession. Genesis 23, verse 7 through 16. Ephron offers the field as a gift, but in ancient negotiation, this can function as a social obligation, a future leverage point, or a way to keep ownership ambiguous. Abraham insists, for the full price, let him give it to me for a possession. This is the same moral instance as Genesis 14, refusing Sodom's riches. Abraham will not let the promise be tethered to another man's patronage or later claimed. He pays publicly at the city gate with current money. It's legal, witnessed, irreversible. And yes, 400 shekels is likely steep. Abraham doesn't haggle. He buys peace and clarity, not a bargain. What God is saying, my promise does not advance throughly shady dependence or ambiguous favors. Walk clean, secure what is right openly. Don't let anyone later say, I gave you your inheritance. The made sure language God promised enters official history. Genesis 23, verse 17 through 20. The text becomes almost like a deed. Field, cave, trees, borders, witness, gate of the city. Repeated phases. We were made sure unto Abraham for a possession. This matters enormously. The first piece of the promised land Abraham ever owns is a burial site. That sounds small, but is deeply theological. Abraham buries Sarah in Kenai, not back in Mesopotamia. The act says, our future is here. God promises here. We belong to this land by God's word. The grave becomes a down payment of hope. The land is not merely where they live, it's where they stake their dead, awaiting God's future. What God is saying, even in dead, my promise holds. Plant your hope in my future so deeply that you bury your beloved in the lands I swore to give. The main message of Genesis 23 in one sentence. God shows covenant faith in grief. Abraham mourns honestly, lives as a pilgrim in the promised land, earns public respect through integrity, and secures the first legal foothold of the promise, not through favors, but through full price, public, lawful purchase, turning Sarah's burial into a concrete down payment that God promised future would be real in history. Genesis 23.